The pale green sky of Valora 9 stretched endlessly above the crystalline plains, casting a soft, shimmering light over the meeting dome. Inside, 3 alien women moved with cautious precision, each one carrying the weight of her own tribe's history on her shoulders. The dome, a translucent structure rising from the silver sands, had been chosen for its privacy and security, and the 3 girls had gathered here for a reason no outsider could understand. Lyra, the calm strategist of the Skyborn tribe, adjusted the folds of her flowing tunic, her silver skin glinting in the light. Her blue eyes scanned the room carefully, noting the slightest movements of the others. She had a reputation for logic and patience, a skill that had kept her tribe safe for generations. Yet, despite her serene appearance, a storm of thoughts ran through her mind. Could these other 2 be trusted? Their tribes had clashed in the past, leaving scars deeper than any visible wound. Rena, the hot-headed warrior from the Ember clans, stood with her arms crossed, her fiery red markings flickering faintly in response to her rising anger. Her tribe valued strength above all else, and she carried that pride like a shield. Every movement Lyra made seemed calculated, almost manipulative, and Rena did not trust it. She wanted to make decisions by instinct, to act without hesitation. Mira, the soft-spoken healer from the forest dwellers, lingered near the edge of the dome, her vine-like hair flowing gently behind her. Her greenish skin blended with the soft glow of the dome, giving her an almost ethereal appearance. She had been trained to see beyond immediate conflicts, to understand pain and fear, and her gentle nature often made her the mediator when tempers flared. Today, though, even Mira felt the tension in the air, and she wondered if the 3 of them could truly work together. The reason for their meeting was critical. The galaxy had grown restless, and threats of war had begun to spread across neighboring star systems. Each tribe had its own reasons to fear conflict, and the 3 girls were chosen to form an alliance that could prevent disaster. But forming an alliance was never simple, especially when old grudges ran deep. As the discussion began, voices were low but firm, each girl asserting her perspective. Lyra spoke first, her voice calm and measured. "We cannot let our history dictate the future. We must find common ground." Rena snorted, her hands flexing with impatience. "Common ground is for the weak. If we show any hesitation, our enemies will exploit it. Strength earns respect, not words." Mira sighed softly, moving closer to the center of the dome. "There is a balance. Strength without understanding is dangerous. If we fail to see each other's perspectives, we risk losing everything." The debate continued, voices rising slightly as the girls circled one another with careful movements, each trying to assert her influence. Suddenly, a deep vibration shook the floor beneath their feet. The dome trembled and small cracks began to spiderweb across the walls. "What is that?" Rena demanded, her voice sharp with alarm. Lyra's eyes widened. "It's coming from outside. Quickly, we must see." Mira, already moving toward the exit, gestured for caution. "Be careful. We don't know what caused it." The 3 of them stepped outside, the cool wind of Valora 9 brushing against their skin. A plume of dust and smoke rose from the edge of the crystalline plain, and their eyes fell upon a strange sight. A small spacecraft, badly damaged, had crash-landed nearby. Smoke hissed from its engines and a faint red glow flickered intermittently along the hull. Rena's instincts kicked in immediately. She drew a small blade from her belt, her posture tense. "Whatever it is, it's trouble. Stay back." Lyra moved cautiously forward, her analytical mind racing. "We should assess before assuming it is dangerous. It could be a survivor. We cannot ignore that possibility." Mira stepped closer to the wreckage, her heart beating faster. "If someone is hurt, we must help. That is the right thing to do." As they approached, they noticed a figure slumped against the side of the ship. The being was humanoid, but different from any alien they had ever encountered. His skin was pale and his dark hair matted with dust and sweat. A metal armor plate clung to his chest, dented and scorched from the impact. Lyra knelt beside him, her hands gently checking for signs of life. "He's alive, but barely. His pulse is weak. We must move him inside." Rena hesitated, her instincts still warning her. What if he's an enemy? What if this is a trap? Mira placed a hand on Rena's arm. "He is injured. Whatever he is, he needs help. That is all that matters right now." Reluctantly, Rena helped carry the human back into the dome. Once inside, Lyra and Mira carefully laid him on a soft mat of woven fibers. While Rena stood guard, her eyes darting to the doorway every few seconds. The human stirred, groaning as he tried to open his eyes. His voice was rough and uneven. Who? Mira quickly activated her translator device, a small glowing tool that converted spoken words into understandable language. The device buzzed and clicked before producing a coherent sentence. Corporal Ethan Cole. Earth, not enemy. The girls exchanged glances. Earth? Lyra asked, tilting her head. She had studied distant planets, but Earth was far beyond their usual scope. A human? From another star system? Rena narrowed her eyes. I still don't trust him. He could be a spy or worse. Mira shook her head, her soft voice cutting through the tension. He is injured. Let us help him first. Judgment can wait. As the hours passed, they tended to Ethan's wounds. Mira worked carefully, using her healing skills to close deep cuts and calm his fevered state. Lyra monitored his vital signs, ensuring that no hidden injuries threatened his life. Rena remained vigilant, her posture stiff with unease, yet she could not deny the human's bravery. Even in pain, he had tried to sit up, to speak, to understand his surroundings. By nightfall, Ethan was conscious enough to sit up on his own, leaning weakly against a soft cushion. His eyes, dark and wary, scanned the three alien women before him. Thank you, he rasped. I didn't mean... Crash here. Lyra offered a small, reassuring smile. It is not your fault. Accidents happen. The important thing is that you are safe now. Rena crossed her arms, still cautious. Safe for now. Don't think that changes anything. You are far from home, human. One wrong move and... Mira placed a gentle hand on Rena's arm. We will protect him. That is what matters. Ethan attempted a weak smile, his chest rising and falling with effort. I'm not here to fight you. I was on a mission. But I am not your enemy. The translator whirred, converting his words. Lyra studied him carefully. His honesty seemed genuine, and despite the strangeness of the situation, she began to see potential. A human, someone from another world, could be an asset. Someone willing to face danger without fully understanding the risks. As the night deepened, the dome filled with a quiet tension. Outside, the winds of Valora 9 whispered across the crystalline plains, carrying with them a sense of anticipation. Each of the three girls felt it, the subtle pull of destiny that had brought them together, and the strange new element in their midst. A human soldier named Ethan. Lyra broke the silence. We must discuss our next steps carefully. The galaxy is not as peaceful as it seems. We cannot allow this encounter to spiral into conflict. Rena's sharp voice interrupted. And how do you suggest we do that? By trusting a human we barely know. Mira's soft voice wove between them. Trust is built, not demanded. He has shown courage already. Perhaps we should see where this path leads before making decisions based on fear. Ethan, feeling the weight of their discussion, sat quietly. He had trained for danger, for battles far from home, but nothing had prepared him for this. Three alien women, each so different, each so powerful, and yet all willing to debate his fate as if he were a puzzle to be solved. Yet, despite the strangeness, a flicker of hope sparked within him. Perhaps he had landed here for a reason. Perhaps he had found allies in the most unexpected place. Hours passed, and the conversation shifted from strategy to observation. Ethan listened carefully, learning about the tribes, their customs, and their histories. He shared bits about Earth, careful not to reveal anything that might alarm them. Slowly, the three girls began to see him not as a threat, but as an individual, someone capable of bravery, resilience, and unexpected wisdom. By the time dawn's soft light painted the sky in shades of pink and gold, the bond between them had begun to form. They were still cautious, still aware of the dangers surrounding them, but a subtle shift had occurred. The initial tension, the fear of betrayal, had softened into curiosity and a cautious respect. Lyra looked at Ethan thoughtfully. Your presence here changes things. Perhaps it is not a mistake that you came to us. Rena smirked slightly, though her eyes remained alert. Don't get used to it, human. You're still under watch. Mira placed a gentle hand on Ethan's shoulder. Rest now. You have been through much. We will figure out what comes next together. Ethan nodded, exhaustion overtaking him. As he drifted into a light sleep, the three alien girls stood nearby, each lost in her own thoughts. The meeting they had planned so carefully had taken an unexpected turn, but perhaps in this twist of fate, There was a chance for something greater than any of them had imagined, and somewhere beyond the horizon, a faint signal flickered, a reminder that the galaxy was watching, and that their choices in the coming days would ripple across worlds in ways none of them could yet foresee. The days grew longer, and the alien woman, Lyra, continued to regain her strength. She moved with more confidence now, her steps steadier, her hands no longer trembling as they had on the day Evan first saw her. Her eyes, once sunken with hunger and fear, shone with curiosity and cautious joy. Each morning she would stand by the doorway of the cabin, watching Evan work on his equipment or repair the old drone that brought intermittent supplies to the planet. She tried to mimic his movements at first, often fumbling or dropping tools, but Evan never scolded her. Instead, he encouraged her gently, guiding her hands, showing her the proper way to connect wires or tighten bolts. Each small success brought a faint smile to her face and a sense of pride to Evan's heart. One morning, as the first rays of the sun lit up the jagged horizon, a strange sound echoed across the valley below. Evan froze, scanning the area with his portable scanner. The signal was weak but unmistakable, a ship hovering at the edge of the canyon, scanning the terrain. His heart beat faster. Supply ships had been scheduled to arrive intermittently, but this one seemed different. Larger, more advanced, with a hull design he didn't recognize. It could be dangerous, but there was no time to waste. "Stay inside," he told Lyra, using simple gestures to make her understand. She nodded, a hint of fear crossing her face. The storm from the previous week had left them vulnerable, and she still wasn't accustomed to human-style defenses. Evan hurried outside, activating a makeshift shield around the cabin using metal plates and energy dampeners salvaged from the old drone. The ship hovered closer, its scanners sweeping the area. Evan held his breath. He had faced hostile worlds before, but the unknown always carried risk. Suddenly, the ship released a smaller craft, which descended rapidly toward the ground. Evan ducked behind a rock, observing the alien technology with fascination. Lyra, hidden behind the cabin, peeked out from under the doorway. Her large eyes widened in awe and fear. The human had faced danger countless times, yet here, on a planet far from Earth, the unknown still sent shivers down their spines. The smaller craft touched down carefully, and a hatch opened. Two figures emerged, clad in sleek armor and carrying equipment. They moved quickly, scanning the area. Evan realized they were not hostile. They didn't raise weapons, didn't make threatening gestures, but they were clearly assessing the planet's condition. They were explorers or researchers like him, though far more advanced. He stepped forward slowly, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. The figures paused, then one of them waved. Evan lowered his shoulders, a sense of relief washing over him. Lyra, watching from behind, seemed uncertain. She had seen humans before, but these armored figures moved with a precision and confidence that made her uneasy. Evan gestured for her to remain calm, and slowly, she inched closer to him. Over the next hour, the newcomers shared information through devices that translated their words into basic symbols and sounds. They were a human research team, sent to survey abandoned planets for signs of life and resources. They had detected Evan's signal and come to investigate. Evan explained, as best as he could, that he had found Lyra and had been helping her survive. The team exchanged looks, their scanners confirming the presence of the alien woman. One of them spoke directly to Evan, asking what he intended to do. Evan's answer was simple, firm, and without hesitation. "She stays with me. I saved her. She is not alone anymore." The humans exchanged surprised glances. It was unusual for someone to refuse assistance when a superior team offered help. But they could see the bond between him and Lyra. She had grown stronger, healthier and calmer under his care, and she had begun to trust him completely. Lyra, sensing the tension, took a cautious step forward. She touched Evan's arm lightly, a gesture of reassurance. The human team understood immediately. This was a bond formed not by obligation but by trust and mutual care. Evan smiled faintly, feeling the warmth of her hand. Humans had always found ways to connect even with beings unlike themselves. In this quiet moment on a world far from Earth, that truth became crystal clear. The team decided to leave them, providing supplies and instructions for repairs. Evan and Lyra worked side by side, preparing for the next weeks. She learned quickly, picking up small tasks and assisting with repairs, water collection, and food preparation. Every day her strength increased, and with it her confidence. She began exploring the nearby terrain with Evan, no longer afraid of falling or becoming lost. Together they discovered hidden caves and abandoned structures, remnants of a civilization that had vanished long ago. Lyra's knowledge of the land, though limited from memory, complemented Evan's scientific approach. They made an effective team, blending human resourcefulness with alien intuition. One evening, while examining a small creek for water sources, Lyra stopped suddenly. She crouched, touching the water, then glanced at Evan. Using gestures, she indicated the presence of strange markings on the rocks, a form of ancient writing perhaps, or a symbol of warning. Evan bent down, studying the carvings. He realized these were warnings about environmental dangers, old traps, or unstable terrain. Lyra's awareness of them likely saved them from injuries or worse. He looked at her with renewed admiration. Humanity often adapted, but she had adapted too, proving that survival required more than strength. It required intelligence, awareness, and courage. The nights grew cold, and one particularly harsh evening, a pack of native predators ventured close to the shelter. Evan prepared quietly, checking his equipment ready for confrontation. But Lyra, now stronger and more confident, stood beside him. She raised a makeshift barrier, positioning herself strategically. When the creatures approached, she moved with calculated precision, directing them away with loud, commanding cries that resonated across the rocks. Evan watched in amazement. She was not human, yet her courage, quick thinking, and determination mirrored the very best traits of humanity. They survived the night without injury, and as the dawn light spread across the cliffs, Lyra allowed herself a rare smile. In the days that followed, Evan realized something profound. Humanity's value was not only in technological advancement or physical strength. It was in the ability to inspire loyalty, trust, and hope. Lyra's trust in him, formed through small acts of compassion, a shared meal, protection, warmth, was a testament to that truth. She had learned to rely on him, and in turn, he had learned to rely on her. Together, they were stronger than either alone. Weeks passed, and the bond between them deepened. Lyra no longer trembled at sudden movements, no longer shrank from the wind or the shadows of the cliffs. She laughed softly at small jokes Evan made, a sound that carried across the rocks and lifted his spirits. She helped him repair old machines, organize supplies, and even create small shelters for exploration beyond the cabin. Each task was a lesson in trust, cooperation, and mutual respect. She had gone from a starving, frightened stranger to a capable, intelligent companion. One evening, under the stars, Evan and Lyra sat side by side, observing the alien sky. The constellations were unfamiliar, yet somehow comforting in their vastness. Lyra reached out, touching his hand lightly. Evan squeezed her hand back, understanding the silent message. It was gratitude, acknowledgement, and perhaps something deeper. For the first time, Lyra seemed at peace, no longer defined by fear or hunger, but by her choices and her connection to another being. Then, a faint sound from the cliffs drew their attention. It was a low hum, a vibration that traveled through the rocks. Evan scanned the area and discovered an abandoned energy source, still active but unstable. Lyra quickly assessed the situation, signaling with hand gestures that she had an idea. Together, they stabilized the device, preventing a potential disaster. The success reinforced their growing bond. Trust had become action, cooperation had become survival, and survival had become a partnership. The following weeks were a routine of learning, exploring, and surviving together. Evan taught Lyra about human technology, science, and strategy. She taught him about the land, the ruins, and survival techniques unique to her species. They laughed, shared meals, and faced dangers side by side. Evan understood that humans had always relied on ingenuity, courage, and empathy to thrive, and Lyra demonstrated that these traits were not limited to humanity. Together, they embodied the essence of survival, companionship, and hope. Finally, a day came when supply drones returned reliably, bringing fresh food, tools, and messages from human colonies. Evan had prepared Lyra for this day. He gestured toward the approaching ship, showing her that they had the option to leave or remain. Lyra hesitated. She looked at the vessel, then at Evan. The choice was clear to her. She had found a life worth protecting here, not just survival, but connection. She pressed her forehead lightly against his chest, a gesture of profound gratitude and acknowledgement. In her culture, it was an expression of trust, respect, and loyalty. Evan understood fully. Humanity's strength had inspired trust, and trust had created a bond that neither distance nor danger could break. As the supply ship landed, Evan and Lyra prepared for the future, not as rescuer and rescued, but as equals, partners, and friends. They had survived, grown, and discovered something more profound than food or shelter. They had discovered the power of compassion, trust, and shared